So here's a summary of this kind of, and look, because there is one God who made all three of these arenas, they are coherently related to one another. That's why, in general terms, you're not God, so you can make mistakes. But in general terms, your mind is in tune with the world. And we take that for granted. Everybody intuitively knows that, except that some of the philosophers, right, who are drawing the logical consequences of bad beliefs. So science makes sense. In fact, science is endorsed, if we had time, we could go through it already in Genesis, in the dominion that is given to human beings over the world. And so we have the capability. We still have it. We've inherited it from Adam and Eve and from God who makes each of us in our mother's womb. So here's a summary testimony of all this. It comes from the Bible, from the book of Romans. And it says, "For what can be known about God is plain to them." To who? To every human being. Because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature. Well, who can make the universe? Only somebody whose life is bigger than the universe. He's eternal. And whose power is supreme. His eternal power and his divine nature, namely he's God, everything about God, have been clearly perceived. Look at that, I've underlined it. Clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse. Now, somebody's going to scratch our heads at this. Although if you look at people throughout the world, there are many testimonies to continuing religious impulse, to people feeling there is some transcendent thing or person or substance, something out there that must account for this. But it's confused. This is saying it's not confused. It's clear. It's absolutely clear. It is clearly perceived. It is not only clear out there, but it is perceived by the viewer. And you see, that's falsified by every atheist, right? By every agnostic. And this clear perception is in the things he hath made. And they're without excuse. They know it. How did you reconcile that with what you actually observe when you interview people out in the street? Well, this same passage, I've concealed for you the opening lines of this passage. This same passage tells you why. And here's the verse. These people suppress the truth by their unrighteousness. The problem, friends, is here. It's not there, out in the world, that the world is somehow confused. Message. It's here. Because from Adam onwards, stories there in the Bible, you can read it. From Adam onwards, we have been corrupt. We've been unrighteous. I include myself. I'm not what Adam was. Now there's hope, and I'm going to mention that. But we have to face the problem first. The problem is that people know about this God because he's clearly revealed in the world, in the things he's made, and in scientific law, I believe. You read my book, Redeeming Science, on that. Clearly revealed. Well, what happens is that they suppress the truth. They hold it down. They push it down. They tell stories to themselves to avoid confronting not only this God, but their own guilt, because we've not been thankful. Right? And you heard this story of Darwin seeing these beautiful things in the world and being overwhelmed. But the temptation, you see, of the fallen human heart, the sinful human heart, is to avoid the pain and the terror of realizing that there is a God and that you offended him. You've insulted him because you're living for yourself and not for him. Thomas Nagel, who realizes that unguided evolution has lots of problems, he's an atheist. And he criticizes many things about the theory of evolution, including the lack of a theory of mind. But in his book, he says, I don't want there to be a God. I don't want the world to be that way. Well, that's at least honest. Because he wants to rule his own life. Yeah, I feel that same impulse in me. God has redeemed me, but he hasn't cleared out every last inch of that rebellious impulse. So that's what's happening, right? And as you go through this conference, I want you to look at the impressive ways in which God is showing his everlasting power and deity, even in the minute things, some of them very technical, that will be discussed by some of our speakers. But also to ask yourself, do you see it? It's there. Do you see it? And why don't other people see it? Right? But I'm already giving you an answer. It's there in the Bible. I didn't invent it. Right? So there it is. Now, let's go on. I got to look at my time and be careful here. Let's go on to talk about one key testimony that's out in the world about the existence of this Creator God in his majesty and glory and wonder and being completely good and the standard for morality, all kinds of things that are in the testimony that's in the world. But one key element in this testimony, believe it or not, is you as a human being. Now let me show you why. And this is from the Bible again, this time from Genesis. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. In other words, I'm making a special species, a special group of individual living things that is not like anything else, either plant or animal, in this certain way. Namely, that it's going to be image of God, likeness of God. These creatures are going to be like God himself. Now, they're still creatures. But you, friend, are like God. You are a picture on the created level of God himself in a way even that not the prettiest orchid or the most impressive galaxy in the universe is not, because you are the image of God. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. And again, the special character of human beings, but the special character is not something that is slapped on them in some meaningless way. The special dominion corresponds to the special nature of human beings. So, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. The very next verse then reinforces this same message.